The College Football Experience Dantabase Top 25 Ranking Show on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is presented by WynnBET. Bet $100 at WynnBET and get a $100 free bet. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBET. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET to claim your free bet today. We're also brought to you by the SGPN Fantasy Football Podcast. They're giving away an autographed DeAndre Swift jersey and a merch store gift card. Get all the details by following them on Twitter at SGPN Fantasy. We're also brought to you by the MLB Gambling Podcast. They're giving away an MLB jersey as part of their playoff contest for the wild card exclusively in the SGPN app. So grab that thing for free today in the App Store or Google Play Store, and then let it ride.
Hey, everybody, Jim McMahon here, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Yes, yes, yes. Woo! Welcome. Welcome to the College Football Experience Dantabase Top 25 show. My name is Colby Swinging Dantabase Dan, a.k.a. Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I smoke and I drink and I don't have stress and I'm healthy.
A real ranking show. You know it. You've heard it before. Hopefully, if you're a newcomer, I'm excited to bring you the Dantabase Top 25 because I believe it's like, giving you an authentic look. We look at the resume and not just guess based on name brands and by a bunch of people that probably didn't watch much of the. They probably don't have a God's eye setup. They're not really watching all of the games. And look, I even brought on, the legend himself. Give it up for my co-host, former JMU Duke defensive back. Give it up for the burrito eating, sideline kiss stealing, wheeling and dealing, Patty C in the place to be.
Hi-oh. Well.
Yes.
Yeah, buddy. Getting back into the Dantabase Top 25, a fun episode to be a part of.
Yes. I mean, look, the Dantabase Top 25, we try to just look at resume only and not just guess, We believe that the results should speak on the field and not by us hypothesizing that if this team played this team, because sports should never be dictated. I mean, I feel like, no matter what sport you talk about, would have Buster Douglas beaten Mike Tyson?
Right.
If you just hypothesize, no. Yeah. He's better.
If we let Vegas lines determine the champions of our sports, wouldn't have many memorable moments.
And it's just idiotic. The ranking system, I remember week 2, you saw Texas lose a game. So they were 1-1 at the time. They lost to Alabama, and they put them in the top 25 for losing. So they were not in the top 25. They put them in for losing. And I did see some great tweets going on today saying, since A&M lost to Alabama, are they going to put them in the top 25? Because, if you play them close, it's just dumb.
Well,
it's just dumb.
Let me push back on you a little bit here.
Yeah.
Quality losses, right, have to factor into your
sure, but when it's week 2 and all these other teams are 2-0, I find that absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah,
and then how about the ones where you have it where they just played? And they just played, like Appalachian State beat Texas A&M at Texas A&M.
Right.
And Texas A&M was ranked the very next week, and App State wasn't. And you're like, wait a second. Right. Wait a second here.
Especially early in the
They have the same record.
Yeah.
App State went to College Station and won.
Yeah. No, 100%. 100%. When it is that blatantly obvious, when there's not nearly enough meat on the schedule or actual data yet to differentiate these teams, and it's a complete projection, and yet you have a head-to-head matchup to tell you what the real situation is there, and then you put one team ahead of the other team,
and they don't value away games. And I honestly believe this is the best system you can do. I really believe that. I really believe it is a more honest system.
Well, it's the way it's supposed to be.
Yes.
It's not a projection of what you think is going to happen, which the AP is always doing, and I feel like even to an extent the college football committee does in their invitational rankings.
They had Miami in their preseason rankings, which is idiotic in its own right because they've never played a game. How are you supposed to gain any intel?
It doesn't account.
You don't even get.
You
don't even get a preseason, and you're just gonna guess who's ranked. It's a whole sham. It's a sham.
Look,
that's why we need a large playoff.
Perfectly accurate, right? From the beginning of the season to the end of the season, it might not be an accurate projection. But who the fuck wants a projection as their rankings?
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
We want a reflection.
Yes, and that is why let's just get into it, folks, because at number 25, speaking of the devil, the Texas Longhorns are my 25th ranked team in the country. You believe that? After all that, they have 2 losses.
They're a good football team. I think you're onto something. Well,
I think the resume, and I know San Jose State fans hit me up hoping to get in the Dantabase top 25. The resume Texas has, even though they have one more loss, is better than San Jose State.
San Jose State's on your just missed list.
They're on the honorable mention somewhere, but so is everyone else in America.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, if they keep winning, they'll find themselves on that list.
Texas gets in there, beating or close losses to Alabama and to I guess Texas.
I think the problem is this: Texas hasn't beaten a team with a winning record.
That's true, and we're kind of thinking of Oklahoma.
Actually, no, they have UTSA.
Okay,
UTSA.
Well, that's a good win.
Yeah,
that is a good win.
That is their lone win against, and they have.
But absolutely throttling Oklahoma is impressive.
Sure. That's what I'm saying. They got that 49 to nothing win, which is impressive. It's against a Power 5. How about this though? They've been on the road once, Patty C, and they lost. Yeah. So that I'll put it like this: I was having a hard time putting Texas or Purdue. So Purdue just missed out. Purdue did win at Minnesota, which is a better win to me on the road than obviously. I mean,
Texas's win over Oklahoma.
Yes, it is a better win. However, Purdue played Indiana State in FCS. Texas hadn't played in FCS yet. So you got to doctor these. I think it's really neck and neck there, the resumes.
Yeah.
Purdue also lost to Syracuse on the final play of the game, and Penn State. Both those teams are undefeated.
Yeah.
Texas lost to Alabama, who's undefeated, but Texas Tech sure ain't undefeated.
Yeah. No, that's a very close resume. I think you're fair, and what would you say the top criteria? Let's explain the criteria to the fans.
Well, to me, winning on the road is the hardest thing to do. You have to honor that because I really believe that's how you tell the teams that are good.
Yeah.
And right now Texas is 0-1.
Yeah.
But to be fair, Purdue is 1-1. They lost at Syracuse. They did win at Minnesota. And actually no, they beat you know what? I think we just corrected this.
Make the audible.
Because they won at Maryland. So they're sitting there, they've played. Isn't this ridiculous, though? We're going to change this. I'm sorry, folks. The Purdue Boilermakers are the number 25 team to me.
There it is, a late change.
But that makes sense, right? They've played. This is what I mean as being ridiculous. They've already played 3 fucking away games.
Yeah.
Ohio State just played their first.
Yeah. Texas has won through the first half of the season, I guess.
And they lost it. So Texas is 0-1 on the road.
Yeah.
Against a team, might I add, that is sitting there at 3-3.
Yeah.
So a 500 team. Sorry, Purdue's got to get that. Purdue, even though Maryland, this can all change. That's what I'm saying. The resumes change because if Maryland keeps losing, it hurts Purdue's resume.
Purdue is what? 4-2 as well.
4-2. Their 2 losses are to undefeated teams
Penn
on the
State
final minute of the game in both games.
Yeah,
I think you got to put them ahead of Texas.
And what are Purdue's wins though?
At Minnesota.
Yeah,
which is better than anything.
Better than
record-wise.
UTSA.
Yes.
You think that's a better win?
I think Minnesota's better. And it was on the road.
Okay. Yeah.
UTSA was in Austin.
True.
Then they beat at Maryland.
Which I guess Texas's second best win at this point would be what? West Virginia or Oklahoma?
Yeah, and Texas fans don't want to talk about Maryland. Right?
I mean, the second best win, you might say that Texas is beating West Virginia is pretty impressive, especially 38-20. They slapped them around. It's close. It is very close between Purdue and Texas. I wouldn't have a problem with you putting either one.
Well, Purdue's played 3 road games.
That's true.
They're 2-1 on the road. Texas played one road game. They're 0-1.
Fair.
That's the deal breaker, I
There
think.
it is. You have your rubric, your criteria, and by that judgment.
So the Purdue Boilermakers coming in at 25. At number 24, they dropped some spots, but it's not their fault because they are an independent, and it's hard as hell to schedule as an independent. But Liberty continues to win. However, they lost. They dropped down like 4 or 5 spots from a week ago because they played UMass. They got the dub though.
Yeah, it's not so much that they lost. They fell. Is that other teams climbed above them?
I mean, this team's 5-1 with a 1-point loss at a team that I have ranked higher when they went for 2. Pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And UAB kicked the shit out of Middle Tennessee today. That win got a little bit better. So, although the Southern Miss win did get a little worse too, but
Liberty's been on the road 4 out of 6 games.
Yeah,
so far.
that's what I'm saying. You gotta reward that. You gotta reward that. And they only have 1 loss. Purdue has 2.
Yeah,
that's the logic there.
There you go.
You know what I mean? Yes, you could say Purdue's win is better than Liberty's win, and I think if Purdue is to continue to win, they will surpass Liberty.
Yeah,
but at the moment, especially with the way Wake continues to win, that Liberty 1-point loss looks fucking great. We were talking about grading losses. Yeah.
No, Wake is a very good team. They honestly, what are they, 5-1 themselves?
5-1, yeah, and they look really good. I have the Liberty Flames at number 25. At number 24. At number 23, Patty C, the Tar Heels of North Carolina, finding their way on this list. And once again, much like Purdue, well, first off, they only have 1 loss, but they have hit the road.
North Carolina's
3
5-1.
times. 3 road games, too. They're 3-0 on the road, Patty C.
Yeah, and some tough places to play. App State, Miami, I guess it's
and even Georgia State's
crowd.
not either.
Yeah.
But 3-0 is 3-0. It's not their fault the fans didn't show up to
teams
Miami.
is
Yeah,
what I'm saying.
they still hit the road. They had to go to a place where the fans were in favor of Miami. It just wasn't that many
There
of
were
them.
just 12 of them.
They can't fucking help that.
Yeah.
And man, see, this is what I mean. They have already played 3 away games, and guess what? They play an away game next week. To compare these to other schools that they are going to play more away games by this next Saturday.
Then Ohio State will play the entire season.
Yes, or that'll be just as many.
Yeah.
That's absurd. That's absurd. Because they have 2 more road games later. But the Tar Heels, and here's what's crazy. Tar Heels loss got better because Notre Dame beat BYU. So, yes, did some of their wins go down? Like, okay, Appalachian State lost to Texas State. That win doesn't look as good, but Georgia State beat Georgia Southern, so that win got a little bit better. And I get it. The resume is not great, but I don't care. You went on the road 3 fucking times. There's not many schools in the nation that have gone on the road 3 times at this point and won all 3 of them. So, shout out to the Tar Heels at number 23. At number 22, I got the Illinois Fighting Illini, Patty C. And I thought this was a tough one to chart here.
You might say that's a bit low, but
I also think you can say that this one was tough. I struggled with this one because North Carolina's been on the road 3 times. What if I told you Illinois has been on the road 2 times and they're just 1-1? North Carolina's 3-0.
True.
However,
them losing to Indiana is a great example of you valuing a team having to win on the road against a team you're better than. You still can take the loss.
Yes. Now that Wyoming win looks a lot better, and the way they did it. The Virginia win though continues to get bad. Chattanooga is a decent win on the FCS. That's better than North Carolina's FCS win. And Wisconsin just destroyed Northwestern, so that win looks better. I'll put it like this: they're neck and neck. I think you can make a case that North Carolina deserves to be higher. I think it's right there, neck and neck. And
is eye test a factor for you at all? I mean, scores are one thing.
I try not. It's resume. This is all resume.
Yeah.
I mean, sure. I guess there's a human element of it, of looking at the resume and saying, "Oh," but I really think this is all based off of: did you hit the road and win? Who are you playing? Because you should reward. And this another thing this will do if they were to really use this, which obviously I know is a pipe dream, but at the same time, it would encourage teams to schedule harder. Which instead we get the opposite. We get teams that only play 4 away games.
Yeah.
And I find it ironic that traditionally it's most of the time the teams that you see in the playoffs. It's that, like, you see like
It's an
7 of the
interesting
top
concept
10
to reward specifically a road win.
Well, they do that in college basketball.
Yeah,
College
that's true.
basketball, it does it right.
It becomes
Yeah.
like a quad one.
Yes.
The quad one.
Yes.
A game against on the road is different than a quad one game
Yes.
at home. Yeah,
It's much more honest.
Yeah,
This
you're
is
right.
just bullshit they just throw out there.
Yeah, they're treating a home
Yeah.
game the same as a road game.
So North Carolina, I get it. I think that's neck and neck. If you ask me tomorrow morning, I might say North Carolina's resume is harder. I think it's really close, but I think if you're a fan of either, you should be able to understand the other side of that. I also think, I mean, what is the best? So right now, Wyoming is now, Wyoming, I think, is the winning record. I know Indiana. Does Indiana still have a winning record? No, they're 500, I believe now. They're 3-3. Wisconsin's 3-3, and then Iowa is 3-3. But believe it or not, that resume is still better than North Carolina's, because Georgia State still has a losing record. Miami has a losing record, and App State now is they're 3-3. So that resume is better when you look at it even like that. I think Illinois gets to edge them out.
When you also consider that only one team has scored more than 10 points on Illinois all season, and that is their one loss against Indiana, that's a dominant ass defense.
Well, and Illinois' loss was in the last minute of the game.
Yeah, in a game they were leading most of the game.
And North Carolina got the tar kicked out of them by Notre Dame. Now, I know you could say Notre Dame's better than Indiana. I would agree with you, but it was also in Chapel Hill. Illinois had to go to Bloomington. So that is the logic there. Patty C at 21. I have the Oregon Ducks. Oregon with a great win today. Now, the resume did get a little weaker because everyone they played this week, everyone that they have a win against lost this week. Well, Stanford's pending, right? Well, Stanford currently up 18. I'm recording this a little bit early. No, I'm sorry. And Stanford not up to 18. Stanford's up 2 with 1:47 left. So maybe the Cardinal win will get better. But obviously they lost to Georgia 46 points. And that's practically an away game. It was in Atlanta.
Sure.
It's like I give that like a 0.8 if you had to do that. It's not a full away game because you're not between the hedges, but it's like a 0.8 or 0.9.
Yeah.
Eastern Washington lost to Weber State in the FCS today. BYU lost to Notre Dame at a neutral site today. Washington State lost to USC today. And but at the same time, Oregon they've won 5 in a row. They're four Power 5 programs, and then Eastern Washington, who's a respectable FCS. I think you got to put the Ducks ahead. If you were to compare Illinois' resume to Oregon's, I think Oregon's is better because Georgia won the national championship last year, even though they lost by 46. I think Illinois, if they played Georgia week 1 in Atlanta, they might have lost by 46 too.
Yeah.
So when you take that there, what is their best win after that? Well, you probably will say BYU or Washington State. I think they're decent teams. I know BYU does have a winning record at 4-2. Washington State is now 4-2 as well. So they have 2 wins against 2 Power 5 teams that have a winning record. Yes, Stanford's not very good. Arizona's 500, but I believe that resume. You look at the best wins for Illinois. It's like, okay, you got Wisconsin, and what?
Virginia,
it's. I think you have to have
Iowa. That's a huge win.
True, but Iowa's 500 right now. We don't know how good Iowa's going to be this year. I'm not trying to base it off of last year.
Yeah,
trying to base it off of what is Iowa right now.
That's
They're
true.
500. They're the same as Arizona.
Fair
Now, if you were asking me if Iowa played Arizona, would I take Iowa? Probably. I don't know that maybe by a field goal, maybe. Yeah. But that's irrelevant. What I think is irrelevant. This is based on the resume.
Well, and it's interesting that it's the almost opposite thing you're comparing here. Oregon, aside from that, obviously 3-point offensive output against Georgia in week 1 has put up 70, 41, 44, 45, and 49 since. They are getting it done offensively. They give up a few points, whereas Illinois is completely defensive squad. again, I understand why they would be very close to each other.
But I also believe Oregon's resume is better. It is better. And another thing is you can't say Oregon hasn't gone on the road because they have gone on the road. They practically played that game at Georgia.
Yeah.
I mean, it was in Atlanta. They went to Pullman, and then they went to Tucson.
Yeah, and got dubbed.
And those are 500 or better teams.
Yep.
All three of them.
It's true.
So
2-1 on the road.
Yes, Oregon has a better resume. So before we get to number 20 in the nation, I want to tell you that the college football experience is brought to you by WynnBET. Bet $100 at WynnBET. Get a $100 free bet. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBET. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET to claim your free bet today. We're also brought to you by Fubo TV. If you watch football, you need Fubo TV. Fubo TV gives you complete coverage of college and pro football with NFL Red Zone plus games in 4K at no extra charge. There's over 100 channels of live sports and entertainment for a fraction of the price of cable. You can watch it on all your devices. Never miss a game or an episode of your favorite shows with the included cloud-based DVR. Plus, there's no contract. There's no commitment. You can cancel that anytime. So right now, you can try Fubo TV for free for 7 days and get 15% off your first month. Just go to FuboTV.com/SGP. That's FUBOTV.com/SGP. All right, Patty C. Am I making sense here? That's what I'm saying. If you disagree with me, feel free to hop in the chat. Tweet me at the Colby and say I'm a fucking idiot. I don't care. I think I'm being honest here, and I think I make sense.
No, your logic is holding up so far.
Okay. So at number 20, I got the Kansas State Wildcats, Patty C. Once again, they're a team that has only one loss. And their one loss, though, so far to a team that only has one loss. They're 5-1, Tulane, right?
Yeah. Very respectable resume here.
Yes, that was a one-score game too that happened late in the game. But also, when you look at how many Power 5 wins they also have 2 road wins in Norman and in Ames, and they also beat Texas Tech and Missouri at home. So 4 Power 5 wins. That's more.
Pretty solid.
That's more than Oregon,
and especially when you consider what Missouri has done against some of their other competition. Who's Missouri kept it close with?
They kept it close with Georgia. They kept it close with Florida.
Lost to Georgia by 4. Lost to Florida by 7.
But they have a losing record.
Lost to Auburn by 3 in overtime.
Yes, but they have a losing record, so that win doesn't mean a lot.
Lost to Kansas State by 28, though.
Yeah, that's an ass whooping. That's what I'm saying.
Those are 3 teams that have won a national. I know we're not doing previous years, right? But let's be honest. These teams have all won a national championship in the last 15 years and one-score games in all 3 of those, and then Kansas State beats them by 28. That's an impressive win for Kansas State.
And even at that, Missouri got a score in the final play of the game. But at Oklahoma, Oklahoma's 3-3, right? But that's still 500. That's a good road win. Same with Iowa State. They're 3-3, right? So yes, they don't have that road win against a team with a winning record currently.
Yeah.
But they have multiple Power 5 wins. Texas Tech 3-3 as well. So.
Well, I think that's why this is honest. Honestly, I don't know where the AP is going to happen, but I personally, on eye test and what I think they would do in as far as being favored in games, I'd put them a little higher than, what do you have, 19 or 20?
Yeah, I have 20.
But their resume, just because there isn't that marquee win on there, I agree with you. You can't really reward them that much.
Well, and they have more Power 5 wins than Oregon. So
yeah, you give them credit for that.
Better Power 5 wins in a way.
You still want to see them with to rank them higher. You would think 5-1 with some pretty darn good wins.
Well, and here's the thing is that their loss, I get it. Oregon's loss was to Georgia, who's really good, but they lost by 46. They were never in control of that game.
Yeah.
K-State lost to Tulane in the final couple minutes of the game. It was a neck and neck game.
Yeah.
Tulane's a team that only has one loss. You look at the other wins that K-State has, once again, on the road. Compare that to Oregon's on the road. Oregon went to Pullman. Now, Washington State's 4-2. They went to Tucson. Arizona's 3-3. Those are their 2 road wins. Kansas State went to Oklahoma and Iowa State. Now, both are 3-3. I believe, though, that K-State's resume of also getting in Missouri and Texas Tech send them over the top because Stanford's record is worse than any of those teams in the Power 5 wise.
Yeah.
So that's what gets them over the top to me. over the Oregon Ducks. At number 19, Tulane Green Wave. Look, they've played each other. Tulane won in Manhattan.
Yeah.
Now I'll say this: that is a head-to-head matchup, but I do think K-State will have an opportunity to leap them if they continue to win on the road. Obviously, if both teams continue to win, we'll see. But I do believe K-State would be able to hop them.
Sure. Although, even though obviously you're weighting the head-to-head matchup pretty heavily because the rest of K-State's resume at this point is better than Tulane's.
Yes.
So obviously the head-to-head plays, but for the remainder of Tulane's schedule, there are some games that will help them. It's not going to be as hard as the rest of K-State's.
That's what I'm saying. So K-State has an opportunity to hop them because they play in the. If you play in the Power Five, you do have an opportunity.
Yeah.
To unless the Group of Five wins out.
Yeah.
Which I would still honor that then. Like I'm saying, an undefeated Group of Five.
Sure.
Would be ahead of them, but they will be if K-State keeps winning, which we'll see. I can hop them over Tulane, depending on the scores, the outcomes. If K-State gets blown out, or if they barely win against a West Virginia team or something, whatever the parameters be, I don't know. I think it makes sense right now to have Tulane.
No, I agree with you. The head-to-head is the strongest data point, and kind of always will be, unless the schedules get. There's a big disparity between them at the end of the season. That's going to be the tiebreaker, you would think.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
At number 18, I got the Mississippi State Bulldogs. I had a hard time with this because I was thinking, does K-State or Tulane deserve to be ahead of Mississippi State? Because LSU looked like shit today. But I still think Mississippi State lost at LSU on the road. Tulane lost at home to Southern Miss. Kansas State lost at home to Southern Miss, or to Tulane. Oregon did lose on the road, but it was a 0.9. It wasn't 100% away game.
Yeah.
Even though, obviously Georgia looks a lot better than LSU, I still gotta give the value to Mississippi State.
Absolutely. Going to Death Valley is harder than going to the
Georgia Dome or whatever the fuck it's called now. Yeah.
Stadium.
So I reward Mississippi State here at number 18. And another thing is Mississippi State's schedule thus far, pretty impressive. Once again, they, much like Oregon, have a win at Arizona, right? So that cancels each other out there.
Yeah.
They have not played an FCS. Oregon has, right? Now, Mississippi State plays an FCS later in the season, and we'll get to that one when that happens. But right now, this is only based on resume.
But a dominant win over a pretty good Memphis team. What, a 4-2 Memphis?
But once again, it looked a little bit better last week, but Memphis loses to Houston.
Yeah.
That kind of hurts the resume. A&M loses to Bama, kind of hurts the resume. But I still think the meat on the bone is better, even though they're 1-1 on the road. And you could say, well, hey, Oregon's 2-1 or whatever you want to deem that Atlanta game.
Yeah.
I still think it's better from a resume standpoint. The fact they haven't played an FCS right now, this resume is better. In my opinion.
Have 5 wins. The lowest margin of victory in those wins was what? 18 points against A&M. Am I seeing that right?
Yeah.
Every other game is obviously those are all blowouts. Their loss at LSU, they were very competitive in. Didn't they outgain LSU?
I gotta pull it up, but I think that hang on, let me.
If I'm not mistaken,
I know LSU turned on a bunch in the late in that game. I'm seeing the total yards. Actually, no, LSU did outgain them.
Okay.
But either way, I mean, that's a tough. I still say the fact you haven't played an FCS, the fact you've played, you've gone on the road and won. Now they're 1-1 on the road, but the fact you haven't played an FCS, the fact you play in Memphis, it looks like they're about to be a bowl team.
Beating 3 Power 5s.
Yeah, beating A&M, beating Arkansas. I know those are 500 teams, but once again, I bring up the same thing. K-State's played a FCS. Yeah. Tulane's played an FCS. Oregon's played an FCS. They should be doctored for that.
Yeah.
They should not doctored, docked. Yeah. Shout out to NC Nick. Say, dude, last time you kept saying doctored. Doctored. Well, fucking idiot, if you haven't noticed. But this poll makes sense. All right. All right. At number 17, Patty C, the highest, the second highest one-loss team to me. Wake Forest Demon Deacons. I have to honor road wins, Patty C, against Power 5 teams, right? I know Vanderbilt is not great, but I have to honor that.
Yeah.
Wake Forest, and I know Vanderbilt is 3-3. So, do I believe Vanderbilt's probably going to end up 3-9? Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe 4-8, but I can't. It's not what I'm thinking. It is what is the resume telling me, right? Yeah. So, and the resume is telling me right now, Wake Forest, that does have a road win at Florida State and at Vanderbilt, plus a home win over Liberty, who's only got one loss, and an overtime loss to Clemson, who's undefeated, right?
Yeah.
Double overtime loss. That tells me right there that Wake Forest resume, because their loss was in overtime, in double overtime, to an undefeated team. Once again, Kansas State, they lost to Tulane. Tulane has a loss to Southern Miss.
Yeah.
Once again, Mississippi State's losses to LSU has a couple losses.
Yeah.
This is, I think, the second best loss
of any team in the country.
Yes.
You might be right. I mean, overall, they've been pretty dominant in most of their other games. Obviously, the Liberty game being an exception, but they're clearly a good team. And you're right, a double overtime loss to an undefeated, presumably top 10 Clemson team.
Yeah,
certainly.
Well, and Florida State still has a winning record. So you got Florida State with a winning record, Liberty with a winning record, 2 wins with winning records there. Vanderbilt's 3-3. You're honoring that now. I know that might not look as good later.
This portion of the schedule won't hold up over the course of the season.
True.
This portion of the resume.
True.
But for right now, it's decent.
All right. So then at number 16, Patty C, the top one-loss team in the country to me is the Kansas Jayhawks. Yes, they went from 2 to 16. Right? I know it's a sad story. Jalen Daniels, their star quarterback, should have been a Heisman candidate. He might be out for the year. Who knows? We'll see what that report is. And he was knocked out of this game. But they lost, and they lost to an undefeated team, much like Wake Forest. But here's the difference. Kansas, their resume is better than Wake Forest because they have gone on the road now to West Virginia and Houston, right?
Yeah.
Houston won on Friday night. West Virginia's got a bye week. But then you also have the other remaining games, Duke and Iowa State. So they've played more Power Fives than Wake Forest. That's going to get them over the hump. I do believe that Tennessee Tech and VMI, the FCSs that Wake Forest and Kansas have, both are trash.
Yeah.
Tend to think VMI might win that, but it would probably be a field goal game.
Those games, honestly, you might as well just throw them out. They barely count as part of the resume.
But I do think the 7-point loss to an undefeated team at home in the final minute of the game, or a minute and 18 seconds of the game, with your backup quarterback, that's pretty impressive to me. And the fact that they've gone on the road and beaten, they played back-to-back away games too, which I think you should honor. And then the fact they beat Duke. Duke currently has a winning record. Iowa State's 500. So I think they got a couple 500 teams, but they do have a win against a winning team as well. I think they have
the winning team. That's Duke.
Duke, yeah. Once again, and who knows how good that will look in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
But at the moment, it looks good.
For the most part, their wins are against 4 of their 5 wins are against decent squads.
Yes. And you'll see a bit later with my ranking of TCU as compared to Clemson. So I got the Jayhawks at number 16. Shout out to them. Before I get to number 15, I want to tell you folks out there that the college football experience is brought to you by the Elias Game Plan app. Do you ever wish that before every NFL game you could get up-to-date and accurate information before placing bets or locking in your fantasy lineup? Well, I'm telling you, you can now with the Elias Game Plan app, the ultimate sports betting and fantasy companion for the NFL, NBA, and MLB. Whether you're part of the fantasy tournament placing bets or just a huge sports fan or stats, maybe you're a stat nerd. All right, check out the Elias Game Plan app. It has everything you need. Yeah, you're probably wondering, what is this Elias game plan app? That's only the most trusted name in sports. Yes, it's coming from the Elias Sports Bureau, the official statisticians of U.S. pro sports leagues since 1913. So get the app. They'll help you build your fantasy lineup. You can even chat with an expert. It's absolutely fantastic. And when you do, choose from 3 game plans when you subscribe, either weekly, monthly, or annual. But I recommend monthly because I can get you 25% off your first month when you choose the monthly subscription. Just use the promo code SGPN25. Find the Elias Game Plan app in the App Store, Google Play Store. Use that promo code SGPN25, and your NFL season will never be the same. We're also brought to you by No House Advantage. No House Advantage is changing the game by offering the most dynamic fantasy sports platform available today. You can play in pickup contests versus other people for a shot at winning $250K in cash. Download the app, choose a contest, select your player props, earn points for your correct picks, and climb up that leaderboard for your shot to win big money every day. Sign up now with the promo code SGPN at nohouseadvantage.com or download the app to get a first deposit match up to $25. Once again, SGPN at promo code SGPN at nohouseadvantage.com. Do it. All right, we are back talking Dantabase top 25. Patty C, we're already at number 15. The last undefeated team in the country, the lowest ranked, I should say, not the last. The Coastal Carolina Chanticleers, I know you have a ticket on them on the over. Hey, they're winning. They're winning. I mean,
might not be super convincing, but
they're winning, yes. Yeah. And I do think the Sun Belt is like a pretty solid conference. I think it's pretty good. This team continues to win.
Yeah.
They've only hit the road twice, but they've got them done at Georgia State and at ULM. Those aren't the most toxic environments, so I still have concerns, but 2 road wins. I guess the win against Buffalo continues to look better and better. The Georgia State win looks a little bit better. But to be honest, there's not a lot of meat on this bone. They are undefeated, which I feel like I should honor that, the fact that they can only play their conference schedule.
I mean, one of their head-to-heads or one of their common opponents was a team that North Carolina played and beat by 7. That's Georgia State, and Coastal Carolina beat them by 17. So,
well, here's the thing. I mean, Kansas' resume is way better, but the reality is that Coastal Carolina is undefeated.
Yeah.
I can't say that about Kansas, but if you gave Kansas this resume, would they go undefeated? I don't care. That's irrelevant.
I will say that the difference between a win and a loss is, different. Like a difference between a 3-point win and a 3-point loss is much different than a 6-point change in the spread, because there's a whole lot of strategy that makes up the difference between a win and a loss that can't just be accounted for by a similar margin of victory or defeat.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
winning is huge, and they are undefeated. So,
and I do think they have the weakest resume as an undefeated, and that's why I put them at number 15. At number 14, Patty C, the Ole Miss Rebels. I think it's a joke that they're in the top 10. Now they might be able to get to the top 10, but the AP voting them in the top 10 I find pretty ridiculous because there's zero meat on this bone
so far.
I mean, Kentucky lost to South Carolina, so that win doesn't look nearly as good.
Yeah.
If anything, I guess the best thing they have going for them is Georgia Tech has now won 2 in a row.
Yeah.
They still have a losing record, right?
It's true, but
so,
that win is starting to look a little better.
Do they? They might actually be 500 now.
Georgia Tech is
but
3-3.
still, even that,
yeah.
I tend to think, and they have an FCS win against Western Carolina, so that's their third win. But
they've had some. Central Arkansas is a respectable.
No, they've struggled this year. They traditionally are. They lost to Lindenwood. No. They lost to Lindenwood this Saturday.
I'm thinking Missouri State.
Yeah. Their best win, and then Tulsa got housed by Navy. Their best win is probably Troy. If I had to pick it, the best, it's either Troy or Kentucky.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, deem that what it be. But here's another thing. They haven't gone on the road really. Yes, at Georgia Tech and at Vanderbilt, and both those teams are currently 3-3. So that's why I rank them ahead of Coastal Carolina. But this resume sucks right now. I mean
Troy is 4-2.
Troy's the best win that they have.
Georgia Tech's 3-3. Tulsa is 2-4. Kentucky's what? 4-2?
Yeah.
4-1.
No,
4-2 after
yeah.
today.
And Central Arkansas has a losing record in the FCS.
Okay. So a couple okay wins on there though.
Yeah, but zero toxic places where they went into. But two road wins. You got to honor it. It's better than Coastal Carolina has 2 road wins, but Georgia State's a team with a losing record. Ole Miss is Georgia Tech is 500. Vandy's 500. Do I think Georgia State's probably better than both of them? I probably do. Like if Georgia State played Georgia Tech tomorrow, I would probably bet on Georgia State.
Yeah. At this point, it's starting to trend in that direction, but Georgia Tech is playing better. I don't know that I'd be so sure about that. I think you have to really, at this point, be pretty darn impressed with their 42-0 win over Georgia Tech.
Well, that's why I have them ahead of Coastal Carolina.
There you go.
All right. Yes, and I mean, but that was also with a different coach. There's a reason that coach got fired.
I mean, if we're being like, if we're stopping this from a resume standpoint, and projecting how good these teams are going to be, right? Which I know is counter to what we're trying to do here.
We can't do that.
But I'm going to say this: Troy, Central Arkansas, Georgia Tech, Tulsa, Kentucky, Vanderbilt. You're not beating national championship quality teams. You may be 6-0, but you haven't beaten anyone.
Troy's the only. Troy and Kentucky have winning records right now.
Yeah.
Those are the only 2.
But let's stick to our guns here and stick with their resume. Yeah, it's a couple decent wins in there, but no 5-1 teams that they've beaten.
Yes, and even today, like they were struggling. I know that score looks a little bit better than. I mean, it looks like a nice win, but I'm saying they were struggling in that first half against Vandy. Now I understand you can make this case for a lot of teams. At number 13, Patty C. I got the James Madison Dukes, your boys.
Boom.
Now, comparing James Madison and Ole Miss's resume was pretty tough for me. Because James Madison has pretty much whooped everyone's ass.
Yeah.
They're
playing not great competition, but they are whooping them.
And you could probably say Kentucky. I don't know, though. I think Appalachian State's better than Kentucky.
Before today, I would have 100% agreed with you. Losing terribly against Texas State.
App did beat A&M, though.
Yeah, it's true.
In College Station. I mean, how about Kentucky's 8-point win against Northern Illinois, who's got, 1 win right now?
Yeah. No, I'm not 100% convinced one way or the other. I think it's pretty close between App and
JMU also has a blowout win against Middle Tennessee, who beat Miami by double digits in South Florida.
Yeah. Who would you? Wait, was App in Kentucky that we were comparing, or who was it?
No, Ole Miss and JMU. Their resumes.
Yeah. Okay.
I think you can make a case because App beat Troy also.
Yeah.
Ole Miss beat Troy. JMU beat App. You know what I mean? So JMU has the better win, I think, within the Sun Belt.
JMU hasn't beaten anyone.
I know,
but they are 5-0. But I agree.
But they've also dominated.
No, we're saying Ole Miss's best win is against Kentucky.
Yes,
and JMU's best win is against App. And who's better, App or Kentucky, is kind of what this is coming down to. I'm gonna lean App at this point.
And check us out. JMU had to go to Boone. Kentucky played in Oxford. Gotcha. So to me, if your hardest win was at home, where JMU's hardest win was on the road,
you reward that a little more.
I do. This was tough, though. I honestly there's a chance of if Ole Miss beats Auburn next week, they might hop over.
Jump.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know though. JMU's on the road at Georgia Southern. We'll see. So at number 12, Patty C, I got the Ohio State Buckeyes. This resume sucks too. All right. They've beaten one team with the winning record currently?
Let's see here.
One team, and that is Notre Dame, right? Who's 3-2.
Yeah. I mean,
they've only been on the road once. Now they did win, but they played at a 2-4 Michigan State team.
What is Toledo? Toledo's 4-2. That's a winning record.
I thought they were 3-3.
Nope, 4-2.
4-2. Okay.
And some pretty decent wins for Toledo. Look, I'm not just going to sit here and say Ohio State hasn't proven anything, especially given the margin of victory that they've had in a lot of these games. But you're right.
Dude,
Arkansas State.
they've only played one away game where everyone else has played more. So I'm even giving them the fact I'm putting them ahead of Ole Miss and JMU when they've only played one away game.
Yeah.
Think about
That's
that.
true.
You know what I mean?
You're definitely rewarding.
They didn't play an FCS. JMU and Ole Miss did. That's why I'm putting Ohio State ahead of them.
There you go.
But they've only played one away game. They should like to me, if Ole Miss keeps winning, Ole Miss playing 5 away games and Ohio State playing 4, Ole Miss should be fucking ranked higher then.
True. I mean, the metrics have to balance out, but 5 straight games scoring 45 or more points for Ohio State. You know, the element of you that is a human being that's watching them dominate the eye test.
Well, the Notre Dame win got better. The Wisconsin win got better. However, the Rutgers win got worse, and the Arkansas State win got worse.
It's a decent resume to this point, but yeah, no championship.
I believe they're the only team that only has one road win in this whole top 25.
Is that right?
Or only played one road game, right? So I'm being still, I think, pretty fair.
Yeah.
Next up at number 11. Actually, no, this one too. I think these are the 2 teams that have only been on the road once. The Syracuse Orangemen, right?
Yeah.
Syracuse is a team, once again, though, their resume is better than Ohio State's. It is, believe it or not. I know you think of the Virginia win and say Virginia is terrible. Well, so is Rutgers, right? I know Rutgers can dress that up all they want, and I probably would take Rutgers to beat Virginia.
Yeah. Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe.
Though. Yeah. But to me, the win at Purdue speaks volumes.
Here's the thing, though. Ohio State 6-0, Syracuse 5-0.
True. But here's the thing. Who's the best win? Notre Dame?
Notre Dame, yeah.
I think Purdue's better than Notre Dame.
You might be right.
So they did beat Purdue. They also beat Louisville. What's the second best win for Ohio State? Wisconsin or Michigan State? What are you going?
Let me double.
Because Wisconsin's resume,
probably Toledo, maybe Wisconsin.
Wisconsin's resume. Look at these 3 wins: Eastern Illinois, New Mexico State, and Northwestern.
That's terrible.
That's a terrible resume.
Yeah.
So I can't give that much merit yet.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Toledo is a more impressive win than Wisconsin is for Ohio State.
Well, I think Louisville's win, the 31-7 win against Louisville is better than Toledo to me.
By Syracuse.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fair.
And then you would go, then you line up, Virginia against, I don't know, either Rutgers or Michigan State. Syracuse did go on the road at UConn and won. That win actually has gotten a little bit better, but still it's a pathetic road win. And Ohio State's road win is better because the ranch ain't packing itself out. But believe it or not, doesn't UConn have a fucking better record than Michigan State? They do.
UConn's sitting there at 3-4.
And Michigan State's what, 2-4?
I think so.
Yeah. Oh man, that's hilarious. That was neck and neck though. I get your point. Though. I think it's right there.
They're supposed to be at this point or any point in the top 25. You're usually going to have, raised within margins of separation.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Even if I put Ohio State at 11 and Syracuse at 12, I don't think there's a big deal there.
Yeah.
At number 10, and this is only because they play 2 away games. The Michigan Wolverines, because their out of conference schedule was absolute dog shit. Absolute dog shit. But once again, we're not looking right now. We're just looking at the fact they have 2 road wins. Ohio State only has 1. It is a shitty resume. Let's be honest. It is a shitty resume by Michigan. Iowa lost today. At Illinois, they're 500, but still winning on the road at Illinois, getting back-to-back away games too, might I add. And then at Indiana, who's also 500 now. And then your other wins are trash. The UConn win looks a little bit better, but Hawaii and Colorado State are horrible. Colorado State got a win on Friday. That helped their resume a tiny bit.
There you go. Wait, is Maryland a winning team?
Maryland is a winning team.
4-2. So that's the best win on the resume.
That's the best win, but I would argue that they're 2 road wins since Ohio State's only hit the road once. The 2 road wins, and then the fact that they got Maryland it's a better resume than Ohio State thus far.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
What Notre Dame's the best?
My problem I do have with it is that from an eye test standpoint, Michigan hasn't been nearly as convincing.
I agree, but that's irrelevant.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like we're just saying, hey, they have 2 road wins.
Yeah.
They beat Maryland, who does have a winning record. And some of those other losses are terrible. That out of conference schedule is fucking laughable.
Yeah.
Like when it's all said and done, Ohio State's probably going to pass Michigan even before they play because their schedule's harder. They played Notre Dame out of conference. It's just the way they aligned it up.
Yeah.
Right now, Michigan's got more road wins, and that's the difference right now.
Michigan's got a cakewalk this year.
Yeah, it's fucking terrible. All right, we're at the top 10 here, but before I get to the top 10 or the remaining 9 teams, I want to tell you that we're brought to you by Trade Coffee. Yeah, let me tell you about Trade Coffee. Trade Coffee is a coffee subscription service unlike anything you've ever tried before because they partner with top independent roasters to freshly roast and send out the best coffees in the country directly to your home on your preferred schedule. Yes, and they got a team of experts that are going to load up and get you the right coffee. They taste test hundreds of coffees from across the U.S. every month to curate over 450 exceptional coffees that make the cut in their warehouse there, and they'll send it out to you. They'll find it for you. So if you want to support some small businesses and brew the best cup of coffee you've ever had at home, try Trade Coffee. All right. Right now, Trade is offering new listeners a total of $30 off your first month or your first order. I'm sorry. Plus free shipping. And look, I mean, that's a bonus deal right there. NC Nick gets this. He loves this stuff. So check it out. Drinktrade.com/SGP. $30 off your subscription to the best coffees in the country. We're also brought to you by OddsTrader. OddsTrader is a place to compare odds from all the major sports books. You can also compare the different sign-up codes and promo codes from sportsbook to sportsbook to assure yourself the best deal. So go to oddstrader.com/bluewire. OddsTrader, the number one site for all your game day bets. All right, Patty C, we're here. Let's get to it. Number 9 in the nation. And I had to put them above Michigan because Michigan canceled their game. Michigan was supposed to play at Pasadena, so
they deserve to be punished for that alone. But I'm assuming that's not a actual factor in determining your standings.
It's not. But I'll say this: the road resume for UCLA, pathetic. It's at Colorado, who is winless. That is the one road game. It is a Power 5. It is pathetic. But
we thought that Ohio State was the only team that had only played one road game to this
You're
point
right. You're right.
It looks like several teams have been not
No. It's what? Syracuse, UCLA, and Ohio State.
Yeah.
That's wild.
I feel like there might have been one team at the beginning of the rankings that we talked about that only did one.
that only had, but they weren't undefeated. Okay.
Yeah.
But UCLA beat Oregon. I'm sorry, not Oregon. Utah. They also beat Washington.
Solid wins.
Both those teams have winning records, right? Guess who's 5-1 also? South Alabama. All right. So they have 3 wins against teams with winning records. Then they have Bowling Green, and then they have a shit-ass FCS.
Yeah.
Honestly, you could argue really anything from UCLA to Michigan. Like Michigan's best win is what? Iowa?
Probably.
Or Maryland?
I mean,
resume tells us
record standpoint,
Maryland.
Yeah.
Well, so Michigan only has 1 win against a team with a winning record.
Yeah.
Guess what UCLA does?
3. Yeah,
Boom.
I would say South Alabama. People might not register like how good of a win that is for UCLA, but it's a good win.
It is, especially right now. That might change to be if they go 6-6, then it doctors them. UCLA drops further back.
It could be South Alabama's only. I mean, that is South Alabama's only loss right now.
Yeah,
UCLA.
Yeah.
You got to give that some cred.
There you go. All right. So at number 8, I got the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Patty C. Oklahoma State. They beat Texas Tech this week. Their resume is not amazing, to tell you the truth, but they did win at Baylor, and also that Arizona State win looks a little bit better because Arizona State beat Washington. So they have 3 Power 5 wins, a bye week, a FCS, a terrible FCS at that, and then a MAC school who's not very good either. So what was the logic on taking them over UCLA? Well, their road game is way better from a resume standpoint at Baylor, who currently has a winning record, compared to at Colorado, who is winless. And to me, then you have the Arizona State and the Texas Tech's 500. Arizona State's what, 2 and I think they have a losing record. They were 2-3, I believe.
But I can see why, though, that data point. I mean, I'm assuming your top data point, your most impressive data point, is the thing that's going to carry the ranking to the highest degree. You know, that's going to determine your ranking. That's going to be the most valuable data point that you're including in your rankings. And going to Baylor and getting a win versus what was
at Colorado.
At Colorado, it's not even comparable.
And both wins were by double digits. And Oklahoma State got
far
it done.
more impressive. Top data point. For Oklahoma State.
And then the Texas Tech and Arizona State wins, and obviously we'll see UCLA take on Arizona State at some point this season. But I think
Can't wait to see some of these teams start to get on the road, though.
That's true. That's when you really learn if the team's good or not. That's why it's mind-boggling that people could say the BCS or even the 4-team playoff, because when you have such a difference in away games, it's just a crock of shit. Until you get a large playoff and cast a big enough net, you will have no idea who the best team is. That's why I always say, and I know people will laugh at this, I don't really believe there's ever been a national champion.
Yeah.
I truly believe that. You name me the year, I'll look up, I will find an argument and say, well, dude, you're telling me this team went undefeated. They played there's another team out there that's lost 1 or 2 games, but they played 2 more away games.
I mean, for sure. The fact that in most of those years, you know, you have an X amount of, especially before the BC, I mean, before the 4-team playoff, when it was a 2-team playoff, and you had like 15 teams with 1 loss, and they all had like different schedules.
Yeah,
it is it's very easy to make an argument that scheduling accounted for the entire difference in their regular season.
Dude, I've seen it so much, man. Like you can see it everywhere. Like the numbers don't lie. If anyone, they're there for anybody. I'm not just making up some shit out of thin air. You know what I mean? Like, I've quoted these numbers before. I could go pull them up right now over a 10-year stretch of what teams have played the least amount of away games. You'd find it ironic that there are other teams that make the playoff.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable to me that it's not a bigger storyline.
People just allow it to be the case.
They're like, no, they're the best team in the nation. Oh yeah, really? They played 4 away games. Yeah. Meanwhile, Iowa State's grinding out 7 away games one year, right? Or some shit like that. I don't know. Like
they lose an extra game, and all of a sudden
it's not 7. I think they play 6, but they gave them 3 sets one year. There's a few teams that have gotten that. But anyway, Patty C at number 8, Oklahoma State. At number 7. I got the Clemson Tigers. All right. They got a road win, look, against a Power 5. I happen to, once again, I'm throwing out what I believe because I believe Boston College sucks ass, right? They do have a losing record, Boston College, 2-4. But it is a road win against a Power 5.
Yep.
It is what it is, much like the Colorado win for UCLA. I said Boston College record's better than Colorado's. But the real thing that helps Clemson's resume to me is the win at Wake Forest.
Yeah.
Because Wake Forest continues to roll. Also, NC State did beat Florida State. I know that game was a crazy ending, but NC State did, so that win got a little bit better.
Yeah.
La Tech did beat.
Or wait, is NC State, are they
5-1?
Wow. So they've handed both Wake and NC State their only loss.
Yeah, and then Louisiana Tech beat UTEP. That win got better, and guess what? That season opener that says at Georgia Tech, that technically wasn't at Georgia Tech. That was not a really true away game.
Yeah.
Georgia Tech's won 2 in a row. So that win looks a little bit better. Even though that game was ridiculous because it wasn't at Bobby Dodd. It was at that fucking Mercedes Stadium. So that's like a 0.7 road game to me, 0.8.
2 really good wins. One being on the road in Wake Forest and North Carolina State. 1 average win at Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of kind of terrible wins with Boston College.
But at least BC was on the road. That tells me something.
Yeah.
That tells me something about your football team. They've actually been on the road 2.8 times, pretty much.
Clemson.
Yeah. And that tells me something. You know, that tells me compared to, like I said, comparing to Ohio State or Syracuse.
I don't think the Georgia Tech road game in Atlanta is a 0.8. I think what
The
was
problem is Clemson's so close to Atlanta.
right?
That's an
A
NFL
neutral site
stadium.
game.
That's an NFL stadium, so it was truly like 50-50.
Yeah,
Yeah. So maybe 0.6
yeah,
because it's still in the fucking city that Georgia Tech resides in.
sure.
Regardless, I still say they went at Wake Forest, they went at BC. That's still more than Syracuse, UCLA, and all those other teams we mentioned that Oklahoma State's only played one away game, right?
Yeah.
So
Winning at Wake
yeah.
Forest is a excellent data point for them.
yes. So that makes sense, I believe, for them to be number 7. At number 6, Patty C, I got the TCU Horned Frogs. They went on the road. This resume is actually pretty fucking impressive. And you could argue that this resume should be higher, right?
Yeah.
Because of how many times this team has played on the road. Look at their resume.
1, 2, 3 times so far on the road.
3 times on the road. Now, once again, you have the Colorado thing.
Yeah.
They're winless. So I don't know what that means. The SMU road win did get worse because SMU just lost to UCF. But the Kansas road win looks fantastic considering Kansas was undefeated prior to that. They also beat Oklahoma, and they not just beat them, they whooped their ass in a game where, Oklahoma's still 3-3. But and then their FCS win is Tarleton State.
I might have Clemson over TCU.
Really? Why is that?
Well, because they have 2 wins over 5-1 teams, whereas TCU only has 1, and because they're Clemson 6-0 and TCU's only 5-0.
My logic is this.
No.
At Kansas so Kansas has the same record as Wake, or they have one better.
Yeah, I think they're both 5-1.
Didn't Wake have a bye?
Did they?
I thought they might have. But anyway, even if not,
it's comparable.
Yes, that's comparable. And then when you add in the fact, okay, so they beat NC State at home, who was 5-1, sure,
Yeah.
right? But Clemson has hit the road only twice, right?
Yeah.
True away games twice. TCU's gone true away games 3 times.
Yeah, that makes a difference.
That was my outlook with doing that. I can see your case of saying, well, they beat 2 5-1 teams.
So in this case, you're weighing the road trips a little more heavily than you are the quality of the opponent.
Also, they played at their group of 5.
Yeah.
Clemson did not.
Okay.
La Tech came, and also Furman came. I know Furman and Tarleton State could be compared. I probably would give Furman a slight edge, but Tarleton's solid in the FCS ranks. Furman's better, though.
Yeah, going on the road at SMU is a tough test.
Yeah, it's a rivalry game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's got to mean something, too. And then the Oklahoma win, they're 3-3. I mean,
I don't mind it.
Boston College's road win Boston College is 2-4.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, so Georgia Tech's 3-3. Boston College is 2-4. But Georgia Tech's wasn't a true road game. So I don't know. It makes it tough on grading that. I can see your case of beating 2 5-1 teams. Maybe you should be. But either or, I think they should be right next to each other. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
So I got TCU at number 6. And at number 5, I got the Georgia Bulldogs, Patty C. They dropped back a spot. How did they drop back a spot? They won. They fucking covered against Auburn. My main thing is this. First off, the team that hopped them, I think, had a better performance, or a better resume, I should say. But obviously that Oregon win continues to look good.
Looks amazing.
Yeah.
That might be the most impressive win of the year so far of any team.
Yeah, I mean it really is, and hold on, I think okay, just making sure on something, but yeah, no, it really is, and but at the same time, you look and say, okay, Samford FCS win.
Yeah,
I mean they're good, they're a solid FCS team, but at South Carolina that win did improve, right? Because South Carolina beat Kentucky. However, Kent State loses to fucking Miami, Ohio in the MAC.
Yeah. Kent State at 2-4 and Georgia only beating them by 17. A head scratcher.
Then Missouri loses at Florida. And Auburn. So they have one win against a team with a winning. Does South Carolina have a winning record?
South Carolina is 4-2.
South Carolina is 4-2. So they have 2 wins against teams with a winning record, essentially.
I mean, the win against Oregon
It really looks good.
yeah.
Really looks good. It's helping them out. But at the same time, what? 2 road wins, one against a team with the winning record, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I have them ahead of TCU. TCU's been on the road 3 times.
Yeah.
Because I think that Oregon win, and also the fact that I believe they've played the same amount of Power 5s, right?
4 at this point. So
Because TCU's played what? Colorado, Oklahoma, and just Kansas, right? So that's why. That's why I had that. So Georgia is my number 5 team. Now they didn't do anything wrong to drop back a spot. It's just I think the other resume is better, and that other resume is the Tennessee Volunteers. Patty C. Here's my logic here on Tennessee being ahead of Georgia. A, they just went into Baton Rouge and they fucked up LSU, right?
Yeah.
The Pitt win looks better. So they have 2 wins now against teams with winning records on the road. Georgia does not have two wins against teams with. Now, yes, that Oregon game looks fantastic, but at the same time,
what is LSU's record? They're 4-2.
Yeah,
wow.
That's what I'm saying. And the Ball State win for Tennessee continues to look better as they continue. They've won 2 in a row.
Yeah.
So that win improves, and Florida won today as well. The only they did beat Akron. Akron's a terrible team, maybe the worst team in the country. So
they killed them 63-6.
So my logic here is I think that resume is slightly better than Georgia's.
Sure, and I think we're gonna get to see Tennessee a lot in the coming weeks and see if this holds up. But for right now, not only are they passing the eye test, but the resume is pretty good. Road wins at Pitt and LSU are impressive.
All right. So then at number 3, I got the USC Trojans. How could I have the USC Trojans on here this high? How could I have them? Patty C.
For a noted Trojan hater, for you to put them at number 3.
Well, I just thought this. Yes, they only have 2 road wins, but they are Power 5 wins. Also, that Rice win looking a lot better as Rice looks pretty decent in the CUSA. Also, the Arizona State win got better today, right? But they have a win over Washington State, who's got a winning record. They have a win over Oregon State, who the game's currently Oregon State beat Stanford.
Okay.
They did.
So, yeah, they're 4-2.
Yeah.
That's a winning record.
There we go. So you have that. Obviously, the Stanford win is not great because considering they only have 1 win. However, I think that schedule, especially when you compare it to Georgia plays Samford. There's no FCS on USC's schedule. Yeah. You got to reward that.
2 Power 5 road wins.
Yeah, 2 Power 5 road wins. Although you could say, and one against a team with a winning record. They have what? They have 2 wins. What is Rice's record again? They have 3 wins over teams with a winning record.
Yeah, I mean, again, Georgia, USC. No, who is in between? Who is at number 4?
Tennessee.
And Tennessee. Kind of splitting hairs a little bit, but we'll learn more as we get more data points to differentiate.
No one on this resume is as bad as Akron.
And who had Akron on there?
Tennessee.
That's true. Right.
Tennessee's best road win is at LSU. USC's is at Oregon State.
Oregon State's a better team than LSU.
I think Oregon State's better than LSU, but I think it's close. I do think
4-2.
Yeah, both are 4-2. Then you have what at Pitt against at Stanford. Obviously, that looks a lot better for Tennessee's sake.
Yeah,
because Pitt is better than Stanford. But I would also argue though that I think Rice and Fresno State a lot better than Akron and Ball State.
Yeah, I would say certainly. I mean, Fresno and Ball State. Fresno's probably a little better. Rice way better than Akron.
Rice would lay 4 touchdowns. I would feel pretty good against Akron. And then I didn't even mention the Arizona State and Washington State games.
Yeah.
So
solid.
I think they have a better resume right now.
Yeah.
Slightly. If Tennessee beats Bama, that might change everything because I have Alabama at number 2. Oh my God. How could I have them at the number 2 resume? Well, first, Alabama has not played an FCS yet. Shout out to them. They do, though. So they will get doctored later. Doctored. Doctor. But Patty C, this resume, do they have a win against a team with a winning record? Texas, right?
Texas, yeah.
And that was a very fortunately reffed game. But they have a win against that's irrelevant. We're looking at the resume.
Arkansas is only 3-3.
Yeah, A&M's 3-3.
Yeah. So
they have one win against a team with a winning record. That's Texas. However, they do have 2 road games there at Texas and at Arkansas, and both are 500 or above. That means something to me. The Utah State win got a little bit better as Utah State knocked off Air Force. ULM continues to lose. That's a very bad win for them. However, they haven't played an FCS. Comparing that to USC's schedule, saying, hey, USC's best win is what? At Oregon State, who's 4-2. Well, Texas is 4-2. I think Texas, not only do they have the same record, I think Texas is the better team.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
Then their second win is against Arkansas. Well, USC's second win on the road is at Stanford, who has 1 win. Arkansas is 3-3. I tend to trust that one better. I think the resume for Bama is better than USC's.
I mean, they've only played, I guess, depends on how much credit you want to give A&M. They're a tricky team. But look, at Texas, at Arkansas, and a win over A&M, those are 3 solid wins.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That resume is better than USC's.
Yeah, the fact that 2 of those are on the road.
That resume is better than USC. So at number 1, though, and I kept them, but the gap got pretty close because they had the week off. The Penn State Nittany Lions, Patty C. You look at their resume, you can make a case that Alabama should be ahead of them. You really can. I actually thought about ranking Bama number 1.
Yeah.
But Purdue continues to win. They go on the road. Purdue just won back-to-back away games at Minnesota and at Maryland. Both those teams have winning records. That win tells me a lot about Penn State.
I don't know if I could have Penn State above Alabama.
Why is that?
Well, who aside from Purdue, who's what, 4-2 at this point?
Yeah.
Who has Penn State beaten?
Auburn is 3-3 at Auburn.
Yeah, that's probably similar to
Arkansas.
An A&M or an Arkansas victory.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 2.
And I had Purdue ranked over Texas at 25. Remember we had this argument.
Yeah.
Purdue's resume is better than Texas. That's why I put Purdue there.
Okay.
So the best win by Penn State is better than the best win for Alabama.
Okay, so it's a little more weighted toward the top, even though I would say that certainly the 3rd best win on the resume, which would be for Alabama, that would be either Arkansas or A&M, depending on.
Yeah, it's better than Northwestern. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, big time.
I agree, but I also think ULM is probably worse than anyone on Penn State's schedule.
That's true. Even Northwestern, even Central Michigan, even Ohio.
Ohio's 3-3.
Ohio's 3-3. Okay, so they're respectable. Central Michigan sitting there 1-5, and Northwestern's also 1-5, right?
Yeah, but Northwestern's beat a Power 5 in Nebraska.
Penn State's schedule getting worse as these terrible teams on their schedule continue to lose games.
Is ULM the worst out of both those resumes?
ULM, are they worse than Central Michigan or Northwestern? Maybe.
I think I would take Northwestern to beat ULM. I don't know about
Central Michigan.
So that's where it gets a little questionable.
It's close.
Yeah,
but I don't mind. But I could see also Alabama being ahead of them. But
there's a reason why I have neck and neck.
That's true.
There we go. And I did have Purdue number 25 and Texas out of the top 25.
Well, and then you would consider the margin of victory also in the Auburn game, where Alabama is squeaking by the likes of A&M and
Texas
and Purdue.
In the Texas game, they should have fucking lost on a safety in the end zone.
Sure. While Penn State is beating Auburn on the road by 29. That's a great data point. That's a great.
And beating Purdue, but just beating them.
Yeah.
They came down to the final minute. All right, that's the Dantabase Top 25. Thanks so much for tuning in, folks. This is the College Football Experience. Make sure you subscribe, tell a friend. Also check out the College Basketball Experience. And get over to iTunes. Give us a 5-star review, please. And remember, College Basketball Experience, College Football Experience, we come together as one on YouTube, youtube.com/the College Experience. We thank you for checking out the episode, and let us know your feedback. Maybe you say, dude, this guy's a fucking idiot. Maybe hey, you make sense here. You don't make sense here. Please hit us up. I'm on Twitter at DColbyD. The College Football Experience is on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. Patty C's on Twitter at PattyC831. Give us all a follow. Thanks for tuning in. All right, folks, this is the College Football Experience. Dantabase Top 25 edition. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.
Me too. Thank you. Well, this is a great way to get started. And I haven't even won all my games yet. It's a great night to be a Tiger. I'm here with my family.
The Redskins want a new stadium. The owner, Jack Kent Cook, and he wants an indoor, I heard an indoor stadium. The Redskins cannot play indoor.
What is best in life? Crush your enemies, see them driven before you.
Good round, you're celebrating with your appetite.
It's easy to see a tide turn.